Oh, we are live. We are live. Just getting some little glitches out of the way there. Just trying to get everything up and running. It looks like everybody's here. It looks like everybody's here. Is everybody here? Are you all here? Are you all there? Sometimes ask me, are you all there? Hey up, everybody. It is Wednesday, the 9th of July, 2025. Eyup FretHeads. It is Wednesday's guitar class from the book, but it's not the book this week. I am doing some new content. That's what I've been trying to get into the mode of doing. We're still going to do lessons from the book because that's something that I know that a lot of you guys, you like me just reinforcing, going over the stuff from the book, because that's the thing. The 80 lessons in this book, if you don't know what the book is, then this is the book. It's got 80 lessons in it, 80 super cool lessons that you probably need to know. If you're interested in the book, then what you can do is you can get the book just here. What we also do with the book is we have the fretboard fraternity. Let me just put this down over here. I'm all of a tiz at the minute here. So there we go. So we've got the book there. If you want the book, then what you can do is, like I say, you can get it there, but it's also on Amazon. It's on Lulu as well as a printed copy. You can get a hard copy, but if you want a digital copy, then what you can do is you can go to the website and you can get it there, and you'll find that automatically enrolls you in my free guitar academy, free community. So my free community, it's there. It's full of lovely people. We just talk about guitar and stuff like that. It's really cool. No politics, nothing like that. It's all very, very nice, and we love it. So over there. But what's cool about that is the lessons from the book. They're all in one spot. They're in the learning tab. I'd have to do like a tour and everything else like that. I should do a tour video. But so that's what's going on with that. The lessons from Wednesday's class, like this one, they go into PDF Club. So if you're interested in PDF Club, then that's what this is here. If you want to check it out there, that's PDF Club. I think there's a link in the video description as well if you're interested. So yeah, and I'll drop any links and stuff as we go on through getting into the class. And that's what we're on about today, guys. This is the lesson for today. So I was thinking about this. I was digging through some notes, because what you don't see is you see a very sanitized version of what's going on in this room. Over here, there are stacks of notes and paper and stuff like that from just basically from years and years and years of teaching. So over 36 years worth of information is over here. I would try to correlate it, but do you know what happens? It's like, do you remember when you were a kid, or when you used to send your kids to go and tidy the room, and it's like you'd start playing with things and then nothing would get tidied. Well, that seems to be what happens. I'll find something, I'll go, I remember this. I wonder if I just draw out that diagram a little bit differently. Oh, hang on, let's just do it this way. Oh, hang on, that works with this now, doesn't it? And then next thing you know, it's like 4 hours have gone. Yeah, and I've added more wood to the pile at the side here. So that's what happens there, guys. But like I say, today's lesson is to basically, we're going to look at a 2-5-1. Now I'm just thinking about this. Before I started, I was thinking, do I go straight for the jugular and go for the 2-5-1? I'm going to sneeze. For a 2-5-1, do I go straight in and go to the chords? Oh, I'm going to sneeze. I can feel it. It's going to happen. Here we go. No. Yep, there we go. That's unusual for me because I never usually sneeze in ones. I usually sneeze in threes. So that's what's going to happen. We're going to do this 2-5-1 today, but I'd like to get a general consensus from everybody in class today. Is if I should build this from the ground up. Like last week, I think I did that. I did that, and I related it to just basic stuff, guys. You know, like your basic major and minor triads in the key. I'm just wondering if I should do that. If that would be the best way to go about it, then that's what we shall do. But like I say, needless to say, the thing with this is today we're going to look at this minor 2-5-1. And that's what's going to happen. But what we're going to do is we're going to make it fruity. And we're going to borrow from the harmonic minor, essentially. We're going to dip into the harmonic minor. I like that. And it's something that I've been thinking about doing as a lesson here on the channel for a while. But I thought, it's a big one. It's a big lesson. I don't know how long this lesson's going to last. It might be one of those mammoth ones. We never know. I might have to cut it off because there is so much that this... Just studying this 2-5-1, this minor 2-5-1, it has given me a lot of insights into how key works and how, diatonic harmony, and then looking at things like harmony as belongs to harmonic minor and melodic minor. So I feel like I should talk about the three minors. I feel like I should do. But we'll get into that. But first things first, what we're going to do is we're going to do a bit of a roll call, and Mrs. Ricky's just got back from dropping Miss Ricky off. Here's a circle of thirds mug. We're going to probably look at some circle of thirds today. But Eyup, Yorkshire tea, yes, indeed, Yorkshire salute to you. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put the counter on. Here. Right, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the roll call. If you've been here before, then you know what's going to happen. If this is your first time, let me know it's your first time, and I'll give you a little round of applause, and we'll welcome you into the class. There you go. But first, before we get into the roll call, guys, there's 112 of you on so far. I've got 42 likes. Let's wallop those likes. Let's get them bashed. And then that should push it out in the algorithm. And then everybody who's forgotten it's guitar class tonight, they'll come in. So Roger Smith is in Illinois. Okay, let's go for it. Michael Davis is here as well. Is the Welsh Dragon and is waiting for the Guitar Maestro. Thank you. Yeah, a lot of people. I ran this early, and I went downstairs and it was like making me a cup of tea because I had to make it myself. Sacrilege. You just can't get the staff these days. Dirk Remical in Spain. I feel as if I should be saying that a bit differently there, but there you go. Christopher Campagna, there we go, in Holland. Looks like we're going to get all jazzy today. We are indeed. Annex here, let's go. Winston Moy is in the chat in North Dallas. It's Waffle Wisdom Wednesday. Oh yeah. Robin Tate, hi everyone. AMC, hello to you all from sweltering London. It's going to get hot again, apparently. Jerry Linde in Sweden. We've got John Carver in Durham. Analog Kid, Eyup. Dirk says, any thoughts on where in the book we may end up? Do you know, a lot of the basics will be covered in the book, but this is outside of the remit of the book. So this is something else. And this is like I was saying, if you'd like me to build it from scratch sort of thing, then that might be useful. I think it probably will be useful, but it will take longer. So just be aware of that. So we've got Bill Travis, Weekly Waffle Wednesday. Eric Collingwood, good morning to everyone. Lawrence O from a sunny London. Relaxing meditation. Evening, Ricky, and to all enjoying your lessons. Thank you very much. Ricky and Mrs. Ricky from vacation in Cape Breton, Nova Scotia. Oh, hope you're having a nice holiday there, Ken. Thunder Ace, Eyup, my OG in the chat there. Sean is here. Sean's early. Sean's usually late. What's going on here? He's one of the first comments in here. Do you think I'll need a guitar for this? It would be useful. Oh, I'm so early. I'm going to get True S Armor. Sean. That's our Sean. We call him our Sean because he's ours. Well, yeah, that's what it is. Phil Osborne in Durham. We've got Rocket 67, ready when you are for more waffle. Gary Dupuis, bonjour everyone. Bonjour, Guy. Good to have you here. Jason Somerville, hello everyone from a sunny Southampton. Looking forward to another interesting lesson. Phil James, evening. Here we go. We're going to have some bother here. Phil James is in the chat. Okay, now before the lesson, can you tell me all about this PDF club? I think Mrs. Ricky's upstairs. Are you upstairs? You're in position. She's here this week, Mrs. Ricky. She's here, yeah, because we haven't got the two youth clubs in one night. You've got to keep the young uns amused, but there you go. So Mrs. Ricky is in the chat. She'll post some information about PDF Club in the chat there. Vicky DeMeo is in Lexington. We have what's a PDF Club? It's like a big stick. No, it isn't. Al Wentz here. Hey Ricky, how much did your hair grow in the past week? It's getting there. It's getting, I can tug on it at the back. I can't get a man bun in yet, but that'll never happen. I'll never be have a man bun. Or a ponytail for that matter. James Ark, hey. We've got James in the chat as well. Rene P. Pena in the chat in Louisiana. We've got Randy Smith in South Kakalaki. Oh, that's a great place. South Kakalaki. What a great name place that is. Greg Barrows, evening all, FretHeads from sunny Aberdeenshire. Good to have you in here, Greg. Phantom is in the chat as well. Michael Gregg. Susan Carr. We've got DMAC 1971 giving me the horns of rock. There we go. Alan Mackey in Tennessee. We've got, who else have we got? Wayne's Music World. Oh, yeah. We're not worthy. Srenang, Eyup FretHeads to you, Srenang. Patrick Derbyshire is in the chat as well. Hope you're all. Best wishes from West Brom. Yes, it's getting hot down there as well, I understand. Renee Hartman is in the chat. Doug Fuller. Billy Joe here. Maria. Every week, I've got to sing Maria's name to her. There you go. Not like that short that I put out the other day. Oh, what happened there? Couldn't sing the major scale to save me life there. But there you go. I thought I'd put it out for the laugh. There we go. Stuart Smith's in the chat. Siegfried Gotts is in the chat. We've got Ron Carrillo. We have Tim C in Northwest Indiana. Micah Allen. Hey, Ricky, you look marvellous. How do I do it? Maybe it's Maybelline, something like that. That's what it is. Isn't that the ad? That's the one. Maybe that's it. So we'll go with that one. We've got me as me, Eyup Canada style. Good day to all. Donald Price, just in time. Telefunken is in the chat. I hope you're doing well. Malcolm One is in Sussex. Chuck from Southern Oregon. Terry Lauder is here as well. Ryan Whitey, Eyup, Alan Mackey. Oh, I've done that. We've got Bionic Bill in the chat as well. We also, who have we got? Renee says, I'm about to get on the dentist torture rack, so I have to watch later. Oof, that doesn't sound good. On the having the dentist doing all that. Do they have a rack? Do they like clamp you down and stuff? I don't know if they do. Is that a dentist? Are you sure you're in the right place there, Renee? Okay, let's have a look. Chimp number 1. Evening all tonight will be another excellent lesson. Thank you very much. I hope so. Dirk says, get ready for volume 2, Ricky. Yes. Well, we're gonna be more focused, I think. That seems to be the consensus there. Irene S. Hello, everyone from Petaluma, California. David Doty's in the chat. Who else? Jackie Bunt. Good evening all. Ricky at last. My brain is waking up, lol. Enjoying sharing my Wednesday nights with you and all the FretHeads. Many thanks and enjoy your cup. Oh, that just reminds me. I've got to have a sup before it goes cold. Oh, you can't beat Yorkshire tea. You can't beat it. Terry says the quickest way to access PDF Club logistics. It's available in the switcher in the Fretboard Fraternity. So if you're in the Fretboard Fraternity, it's available in there as well. And we have an app. We have an app as well, so you can get it in an app as well. I don't know if you knew that, Terry. So who else? Elizabeth is in the chat. Elizabeth, there's no fun in collating. No, there isn't. It is one of those things that, and I was saying to Mrs. Ricky, I think it was just yesterday, I was saying, what's one job I could do today that the future me would thank myself for? And it would be to sort out this pile of notes. So I'm going to do it. I'm going to get through it, because the thing is, I know good things will come out of it, and that's the thing. And it will be something that I've been meaning to do, and I'll get something really cool out for you guys. So Graham Penfold is in the chat. Haydar McQueen in the chat as well. Gary Buck as well. Were you able to see Bruce Springsteen or Ozzy? The Ozzy gig looked fantastic. I'm more of an Ozzy and all those guys that were there fan than the sort of Bruce Springsteen's side of things, really. Dirk and Sean say 251. Sneezy, indeed. Sneezy easy. Mario van Leuven in Antwerp. We've got, who else in the chat? We have, I'm going down here, Harry Croker is in the chat as well. Late tonight, but in Wolves, in Wolverhampton. I always remember that sketch from Reeves and Mortimer where they did Slade at home. If you've ever seen that, Slade, the band Slade, when they're at home looking for pot noodles. Really funny. Anyhow, Susan Carr, Ground Up is good. Everyone's saying Ground Up is good. So there, I'm actually here this week. Yeah. Oh, Mrs. Ricky, that's you. That's my wife. That's the wife. So we've got... let's have a look. Yeah, last week's lesson was a deep one. It was pretty intense, but hopefully it was good to show you how one chord moves to another chord. And this is why I thought I'd do this 2-5-1 today, because chord moving to a chord. That's what we're doing. It's playing with this idea of tension and release, or approaching, and that's what we're doing with the 2-5-1. It's a kind of a mini example of that. So really, that's why I wanted to do it as well. So who else have we got in here? Any bit of information is gold. James Ark, Dorian Mixolydian Major. No, actually, no. This is the thing. It's a minor 2-5-1 we're going to look at today, but it's a big lesson. Okay. ATX Viking. The intervals lesson was so solid. Would be okay. We're jumping into the cadence directly. I think so. There you go. All forms of Ricky roll. Yes, start with basic and lift off. Okay. Why are there 3 minor scales? We'll get into that, Sean, as well. That's the thing. 6-string Greg, present from the deep in the Arizona woods, 9,000 feet. Do you know what? Arizona, have they got woods in Arizona? I just thought it was like, maybe it's just like that. You know, you kind of have... these assumptions that Arizona's just a desert, but they might have woods. I don't know. But there you go. Obviously, Greg is there, you know. So there are woods there. I've learned something. How about an honourable mention for the mug? You just got one. Right, Mike. You said here you just got the Circle of Thirds mug. Yeah, the Circle of Thirds mug. Now, I think this is pretty much genius. Yeah, if I say so myself. It's got a QR code. If you scan the QR code, it takes you to the Circle of Thirds guitar lesson, music theory lesson on YouTube. So it takes you to the lesson, and then what you do is you get a whiteboard marker, and then you can draw in any key on there. You can put your key signature. There's a spot. Hang on. I don't want to tip the stuff out. There's a spot for your key signature to go in there, just so you can remind yourself where your sharps and flats are, and then there's the Circle of Thirds. You can draw them in there with a fine whiteboard marker, and you can just sit, and then while you're at work and you're pretending to do an important email or something, client communication. Oh yeah, look at that. You can look down. You can go, oh yeah, right. I can see how the triad is stacked there, and if that's the 9th. All right, that's the 9th of chord 2. All right, yeah, I'm cool. I can see the full chord. It just makes sense. I think, well, you know, it's like a boring piece of paper. You know, it's going to get lost. A mug, you're not going to lose it, and you could drink tea from it. You could drink anything from it. You could have a beer in it as well, or a bourbon or something like that. Yeah, that might be nice. Yeah, I think that'd work. At work, maybe. I don't know. But there we go. There's the mug. We have a relaxing meditation. We have, Phil says there's 3 miners in our village. Since they closed the pit down. Is that what happened? Rattlesnake Roy, not for the play. I jumped in to avoid an avalanche and landed in a den of rattlesnake once. Long story, but true. The dust made me blind. and I could hear them, and they were revealed as it settled. Oh crikey, we don't oh, rattlesnakes. Woo! Donald Price is in Vancouver, in WA. We've got Jacob Mack. I just subscribed and liked Los Angeles. We like that. I like your profile picture of a plant. We'd like this. Spartan Pride may go to the conclusion first, cut to the chase and end result, and then circle back to the beginning and build up to it. I like that. I'm just as confused now. What's that there? Mary says, hey, I've always wondered about the 2-5-1. It's the most important chord progression in music. So that's where it is. That's what we're going to do. Angus McDonald's in the chat. Is late, but he's just got in from yoga. Will obviously not need any star jumps. No, backwards dog. That's what is it, Sundog, something like that. Davy Boy's here as well. Dan Lafferty's here. We have John. Hey, up all lad. I've got to give John a now then lad. Now then lad. Yeah, he's Doubt Road, aren't you? Ford MJ, great subject today. Thanks for. Well, I hope it's a good subject. I did wonder if it was a bit too heady, but let's go for it. We have, who else have we got in the chat here? We've got Michael V. Matthews, Mike, old and hopeful in Tucson. We've got Sandy B. I saw Robin Trower last night. He kicked ass, was amazing. He's a good player, very good player. Dom Kraus, Bom dia, Ricky from Portugal. Bom dia to you. We have Richard Grissom in the chat. We also have, I'm scrolling. We have BG Ape, Duncan Guinness Pig. Good name for a band. Let's go with it. South Kalaki is South Carolina. All right. Kakalaki, is that what you call it? Is that? I've always wanted to go to South Carolina. It's really good for music down there. Craig Tatton is here. Craig here from the land of sticks, maple syrup, and Neil Young. Haven't joined in a while. 2 p.m. here. Ooh, that work thing. Ooh, that sounds brutal. And Elizabeth says, just handed my pile for work. Got to earn this 2 p.m. lesson here during the work week. Lol, colour away. Nancy Parsons is in the chat. Lovely to see you here, Nancy. I hope you're enjoying Wimbledon. Jimmy Four Thumbs. Volume is low. Perhaps raise the level a bit. The volume's fine. I can see it on my little thingy here. Jimmy, you might have to turn it up a bit yourself there, mate. We'll see how we get on. Jerry Moffat in Texas. Who else have we got? We are looking like we're getting to the bottom here. Graham Wood is in East Yorkshire. Graham Penfold. What's the app name? It's in, if you go in the Fretboard Fraternity, it's a sticky post in there. It tells you about where it is. I've done kind of like how to do it and everything else. Dale Sam, a bit late, but still made the roll call. Yes, that's the one. Darren, hi, Ricky from South Yorkshire, and some more. So we've got a good, healthy dollop of Yorkshire in here tonight, by the looks of it. Stephen, David Rathburn, Steve from Montana is here. We have Carl Whitehead as well in Sunny Nunny. Freedom Grower, cheers, let's do this. Just across the water from you is the Grish Cane. Just good for, all right, okay, well, could be Ireland, could be France, I don't know. John Prenderville, Eyup CT USA, Elbio Alarcon in Argentina, Michael K, greetings from Amsterdam, and yeah, we do need some WD-40 on that, like Phil, that would be good. Volume all good here. We also have Tom Jablonowski in Toledo, Ohio, and I'm going to finish on Suzanne Gerling here in South Brazil. Welcome all. And we'll get into this. I'm going to turn off some bits and bobs here. Oh, my knees hurt. I just got here. What did I miss? You missed everything. We're just about to finish. We're just about to finish up and go to bed now. No, we're not. We just started. The Isle of Man. Ah, right. Okay, I've got you. The Isle of Man. That's it's been. I don't know if I've been there. It would be one of those sort of places that I think would probably be nice to go to. I've been to Isle of Man. Yeah, to a festival. What am I about? I think we might have done. Did we go to the Isle of Man once? No. I get it mixed up with Anglesey, don't I? It's much. Isle of Wight. That's the one. It's you know, in Britain we live on an island and there's so many little islands around it, so that's the thing. Right, okay, let's do this. I'm going to go from scratch, so I'm going to be getting into this. Let me get into this. All right, let's do this. I'm going to switch to pen and paper, guys, because we'll go from this. And what I'll do is I'll show you what you normally might think of as a 2-5-1, yeah, in the major keys. But first, let me just like put some stuff on some paper here. I'll just put my guitar down. Oh, we've got that going on there. We don't want that. We don't want all that nonsense coming out of there. Right, so what we have, okay, so what we're going to do is I'm going to build this basically like I did last week from, I'm going to build this from C major, yeah, because, why? Because it's all natural notes. There's no sharps, there's no flats. So that just makes sense to build all that sort of stuff. We're not gonna do that yet. Don't worry about this yet. Patrick, don't worry about the modes. Yes. We'll have a look. Well, this is gonna get into parallel minors. So but watch this here. Right. So let's just take C major. And now what I'm going to do is I'm actually, let me just start a bit differently. I didn't know I was going to start with this today, but there we go. We can do this. It's not a problem. Right. So that's the key signature for C major, right? Now the beautiful thing is that the fact there's nothing there tells you something, okay? So it tells you that there are no sharps or flats. So the notes that we need for that is going to be C, D, E, F, G, A, B. And then I can double up on the C because that would be the octave, okay? Now, what we can do is we can think, well, that's the first note. And the first note of a scale is called the root note. And that gives the scale its first name, if you will. If you kind of think about it, it's almost like its Christian name. Yes, Gary, the white keys on the piano. So you could think of this as the white keys on the piano. Now, the cool thing I like about this is there's no alterations. Just like the C major, there's no alterations. But in the major scale formula, I'm just writing out the formula here just to see that what we can do is we can equate the letters here. Yeah, we can equate those with numbers, okay? With that little dot there. Yes. So we got that there. So we've got these here, right? And we could look at that as being A, V, E, but really it's just the root note. That's all it is. Now what we can do is, like we did last week, the other week, and like I've done in various lessons before, because I don't want this to go on too long, is I want to be able to assign a key to I want to be able to assign Roman numeral chords to this as well, because once we split things to Roman numerals, once we don't have to then stick to the pitch, okay? Because let me get a piece of paper just to knock this off. When we have that there, that is very restricted. That restricts us to playing only the notes C, D, E, F, G, A, B, and back to C again. However, what we can do is we can see root, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, and seventh as being any starting note here. So we can have any of the 12 notes that we have in the chromatic scale here. We can start on this one and then build the scale up. And when we do that, what happens is we get a structure. We get a structure in the major scale that never changes. Okay, so this is pretty critical. It goes step, step, half step, 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 half step. That's it. So one whole step, which is 2 frets, another whole step, which is 2 frets, a half step, which is 1 fret, step, 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 and half step. So that's the formula there for a major scale. And if we took one string and you did that all the way up. In fact, shall I demonstrate that? This is a tangent that I didn't know was going on, but let's do it because I just want you to be able to see. Yeah, I want you to be able to see this. That if I start on any note, and I don't need to know what the letter names are, if they're sharps or the flats or anything. So if I start on the E string, yeah, start on the E string here and I go up a step, I get to the 2nd fret, okay? A step again, then I get to the 4th fret, then I get the 5th fret. So you can hear that what I've done is I've gone up step, step, half step. And you can already start to hear the major scale, the do, re, mi. Yes, and then what I do is after that first half step, I've got to go up 3 steps again. So I go step, step, step. And then you can see, look at that. I've got my double dots there to tell me I've gone all the way back to the beginning of my fretboard again. Because, look, Elephants and Donkeys Grow Big Ears, or Eddie Ate Dynamite, Goodbye Eddie. All the notes at the 12th fret are exactly the same. Elephants and donkeys grow big ears. Eddie ate dynamite. Goodbye, Eddie. Okay, so the thing is, what I can do then is, that's my last of my steps. So just to reiterate again, I go step, step, half step, 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 then half step to get back to my root note again. Now I can count up and I can go root, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, and then I'm back to root again. Okay, so that's the octave. Now here's the thing, I just want you to be able to see that those frets that I was doing that on was 0, 2, 4, 5, 7, 9, 11 and 12. And the thing is, I could do this with any of these open strings, and what I'm doing is I'm spelling out the major scale. So if I go G, on the G here, I go G, right? I know this is going to be an A, but I'm just going to count up in the steps and half steps. So I go step, step, half step. The frets are exactly the same as what I did with the E there, guys. So I've gone step, step, half step, up 3 steps, and then I go to the 12th fret. Now you can hear it. Did you hear how it changed? Listen. If I move from one key to the other, then it's going to take a little bit of adjustment, but you can hear it change. Let me do it on the D string, just a listening exercise. You can hear it's changed key. On the B string, exactly the same frets. Hopefully you can hear that, and that's working on all of those there. So the frets that I'm moving along there are... Okay, so that is the major scale. That's the formula. And basically, what I'm doing is I'm just starting on the open strings because they're convenient and I can see them there. You know, but less convenient is, say, starting on the F sharp here. Then what I have to do is I have to go up the same number of frets. I know that that's the 2nd fret. So what I do is I look at my 12 here and I think, well, that would be the equivalent of the 2nd fret. So I need to end there. But what I can do is I can go, start on this one, I can go step, step, half step, 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 half step. And that takes me all the way back to my root note again. So now that's not the most convenient way to play the notes. And in fact, that's almost like how a piano plays the notes. If you think about the piano, you know, it was mentioned about playing the white keys. Right, if I had a C string here, that would be the equivalent of doing that. But because I don't, what we have to do is, instead of taking that movement all the way up here, what we do is we just... we play box patterns instead. So we end up taking those long patterns and then we're making them into box patterns, into scale boxes. And that's the way it works. Hopefully we'll get into some scale boxes today. So what we've done is, if you think about it, yeah, and this is the thing, and I know I'm demonstrating this in the key of C, yeah, we've got to do the Roman numerals, but we've got E, we've got F. These I'm thinking of as tonics for keys, yes? So the keys that we have, I think we have 12 keys. That's the way I think about it. 12 major keys. You can think of it as having 12 minor keys, so major, minor. Yeah, we don't get into any of the enharmonics because we just, you know, they're not that important really. You barely come across them these days. So we've got E, F. We can have this as F sharp or G flat. They've got the same number of accidentals there. And then we've got G, we've got A flat, Okay, I prefer A flat over G sharp. G sharp is a completely theoretical key. It's a monster. We don't go anywhere near it, so play A flat. Got A, B flat, same reason. B, half step up, we get C. Half step up again. You know, I'm just going up here. This is going to be D flat. So we don't want the key of C sharp because there's two double thinking on two intervals in that. On two accidentals. Then we move to D, E flat, and then to E here. So essentially, that gives us all those 12 notes. We're going to come back to those 12 notes because I want to talk about the chromatic scale. That's part of the lesson today as well. So all of those notes could be root notes. So if that was the case, then what we do is we just alter those letters at the top. But this structure here, root, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, and octave, that doesn't change, okay? That does not change. Right, now, this is a little interesting thing that I want to show you. And I just want to show you how we can visualize where the relative minor comes from, because we need to talk about this. With every major, yeah, we have a relative minor. Now, the relative minor for C major is A minor, okay? And the way we could think about it is like, well, what function do they serve? The C major is kind of got a happy, stable, jolly sound. A minor is a bit more melancholic, great for ballads, that kind of stuff, yeah? So it's a bit sadder. So really, it's about use case. But let me just show you. This is an interesting way, I think, of visualizing it. So if we go C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A. I think I need to stop there. Right, okay. So, but what we've got here, right, so we've got this big long, this is C major, right? Now, if you imagine this was the white keys, that would be 1 octave of white keys. That would be 2 octaves and 2 octaves and a bit, okay? So that's what we're gonna looking at here. But what we're gonna do is if I put that step, step, half step business above these notes here, step, 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 half step. Now look, step, step, half, step, 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 half. You see that? So we've got that step, step, half, step, 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 half. It's following that exact same pattern there. You could call it tone, tone, semitone, tone, 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 semitone. You know, whole, half, whole, half. There's a few different ways of saying it, right? Now, it goes to say that when I get to this C here, this structure, it just carries on. It does exactly the same thing. So if I take that there, just put my hand over there just to move it up. See, that goes step, step, half step, 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 half step. Nothing's changed, okay? Still the same. I've just done it in an octave higher. All right, and then if I go here from this here, it's just going to be the same. Step, step, half step, step, step. And I'm going to finish at that A there because it's going to become apparent how this works in a minute. Right, now what it is, the way that this works is, if we can think about this, we can think about C major here. We sometimes think of this in Roman numeral terms as being chord 1, okay? So it's going to be chord, that's what we think of it as a chord 1. And A minor, if we're thinking in major, we think of that as being chord 6. So if we take these Roman numerals and we just turn them into normal numbers, yeah, like that, then what we could do is we can count up to find the relative minor for this. So this is how we find that minor. So if we go up here, we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and we can see that this is going to be the 6th there. So let me just put a little arrow in there. So that's where the 6th note is, just popping in there. But what happens is, yeah, these steps and half steps do not change. They're a rigid structure. And what we do is in C major, if we're going from C to C like that, yeah, that gives us the C major scale. But hidden in and amongst it, we get the A minor scale, the A natural minor, because it falls naturally within the major scale. So if I start here, however, on the A, and I go A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, and think of that as being my octave, then what happens is I get that those notes live within there, and I use that range of notes. But what happens is you can see that the steps and half steps are modified. I'll just clarify what they look like here. A, B, and then we get to the C here, then we get the D, we get the E, get that F. Look, can you see it's just mirroring the same pattern above? F to G, G to A, and then we get and then yeah, we're back at the where we started from. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A. No new notes have been added in there. There's no sharps or flats been added, okay? But let me just move this out of this little diagram here so that you can see it a little bit better. Just like I have my major scale here. There's the major. I'm going to have the minor here. Like I say, it's the natural minor, or also known as the relative minor. And if you wanted to think about it modally, it is a mode, yes, right? All a mode is something that is derived from a master thing, yes. So the major is the master. We're not going to get into the modes though, right? So we're going to do this. Look, no new notes have been added. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and then if I want, I can have an A there. But what I've got to do is I've got to follow this structure. You can see it goes step, half step, 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 half step, step, step. Okay? So we lose that structure. We can explain the major. You see, we can explain the major in root, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh. That's the formula. Yeah, if somebody said to you, what's the formula for the major, you'd go root, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh. There's your ingredients. I talk about your ingredients all the time. Okay? Yeah, so Roman numbers, Nashville numbers, whichever you want to use. It doesn't really matter as long as... I think Roman numeral numbers have you are able to capture and carry information and data over. Right, but the thing is, we've got a different structure here, because what happens is the major is everything's based on the major. It's the most important scale in Western music. Yeah, and you'll notice that there are no alterations on that major scale. There's nothing changed. They're just pure numbers, you know, and the root, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh. Okay, so they never change. If they change, then you're changing it from a major to something else because you're altering it. And what happens is, if we look with the minor, we get a root note. Okay, we've got a root note there. We have a second note, which is exactly the same as the major here. It's a whole step up. So that's fine. We don't need to change any of that. But what's happened is, if we looked at this C here, this C, the distance from the A to the C is a minor third, or also known as a flat third. So we can call it a flat third. And now you start to see that the formula for the minor is going to be different to the major here. So C, let's have a look at this D here. So what's that going to be? A to a D is a fourth. A to an E is a fifth in interval terms. And then what happens is we get this one here, this A to an F. Okay, the distance between the A to the F. And you can see that what we would have had before would have been step, step, half step. Well, we've got a half step in here. So what we end up with here on the F is we end up with a flat 6. Okay, so we end up with a flat 6 on there. And then when we get to the G, we can actually see that that's a whole step away. We end up getting a flat 7. So the formula for minor, yeah, is root, second, flat third, fourth, fifth, flat 6, and flat 7. But the reason that is the way it is because it's based on modifying the major master formula. Yes, so if we take a major scale, we flatten the third, Yeah, we flatten the 6 and we flatten the 7. We've changed it from a major scale into a minor scale. Okay, so that's what goes on there, guys. So hopefully that makes sense there. We're good with that. That's the A natural minor. But you can see here, hopefully, just on this sliding scale here, you can see that no new notes have been added. Okay, so this is how we're generating that, but we're using those steps and half steps to do so. And you can see that if you wanted to memorize, just like, you know, for the major scale, you go whole, whole, half, yes, and then you go whole, 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 half. That's the major scale formula. You could do the same thing here. You go whole, half, whole, whole, half, whole, whole. Yeah, so that's the way you could look at it, like that. Yeah, you could do it like that. If you want to remember it, this is one of those things. I can't specify this enough, guys. You can put this lot all together. You can write it out on a sheet and then stick it by the kettle. Yeah, stick it by the toaster. So when you're making your breakfast or something like that, you're just there, and you know, you kind of, your mind's wandering, and you're thinking to yourself, all right, yeah, whole, half, right, okay, I've got it, Ricky. You know, so the thing is, you could do that. Now, personally, yes, learn this, but I think that learning the scale formula is more useful, because what we can do is we can take this information and we can turn it into Roman numeral chords as well. Okay, so we can turn it into Roman numeral chords. This is wonderful. It's absolutely amazing that we can do that, right? In fact, right, so let's look at that. Right, let me just, I'm going to get this sheet here. I've got this lovely sheet here. So just to display that, to show you that we've got that. Okay, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 notes. Okay, 12 notes. This is the chromatic scale, and this is how the structure of this lines up, guys. This is how it works. So we've got the natural minor scale. Well, look, let me just show you how that fits, how that looks visually. I've got my root. Let's just copy this over so you can see me copying it over as well. So on the natural minor, I've got a root note. Okay, look at the chromatic scale. Look at this. Look at the columns, the way that the columns are here. Okay, how they line up with each other, and you'll start to see how just moving one note around does different things. So look, root. We've got a second. We've got a flat third. Right. We have a fourth. We have a fifth. We have a flat 6, which you can see is just here. And we can see we've got a flat 7. Now that to me is a really good way of looking at how you extract the how we extract a scale from the chromatic scale, because the chromatic scale is basically all the notes that we have. Okay, I feel like it's probably going to be beneficial for me to colour this in. Yeah, I'm going to colour. You know, I like colouring stuff in. So let's go, because it's a minor scale. We're going to go blue. So let's do that. Okay, so we're just going to go like that, and I just want you to see how those stick out from there. Any scale at all can be derived from this chromatic scale. That's the way we think about things. We've got to think of that chromatic scale as being all the ingredients in the cupboard that we have to make whatever it is that we want to make when we're making music. Okay, if that makes that sentence didn't even make sense. So there we've got the major scale. Okay, we've got the minor scale. That's how it comes out. Now, what we can do with this as well is if I just go back over here to the old C major, I'm just going to do a fresh sheet of paper. I'm going to flip it over because I don't want anybody picking at dots on the screen thinking that they've got an error, a blown pixel or something on the monitor or whatever. So look, we've got this here. I'm going to do the C major again. So C, D, E, F, G, A, B. I'm only doing the 7 notes, okay? So the 7 notes. Remember I said I had root, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, and 7. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to... It's just so much easier if you remember that 1, 4, and 5 are your major chords, okay? So we'll look at that. 1, 4, and 5. And I've left it as numbers here, guys. I've not put the Roman numerals in yet, okay? And then what we want to do is we want to remember that 2, 3, and 6 are our minors. This is an easy shortcut. This is, I think, the most theory-free way of understanding, finding the names of your chords, okay? You're just finding the names of your chords, right? Does page 62 L12 keys help? I'd have to look at that one, Maria. Okay, so look, I can look at that and I can think of those as minors, right? And you might even get a little M like that in Nashville tuning, in Nashville number system. The 2 minor, 3 minor, 6 minor. You know, it would maybe even say that like that. And then we get good old wobbly bob at the end there. And we can see that we get that diminished there. But what we really need is we need to be not so rigid and stuck to a key. This is, like I said, this is always going to be the same. This is always going to be the same. Whereas the pitch changes because we've got 12 notes that we can start on. Okay? So let's put these into Roman numerals, and then once we've got the Roman numerals, we can understand what we're going to do. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now, what I've done here is I've left off some information. It's really vital, I feel, that you understand this, because what happens is we need to add uppercase and lowercase. So major is always going to be uppercase like that. Okay, minor is lowercase. Basically, it's got a dot, right? So we just think about it in that way. Minor, and generally, I kind of think of this as relating to the 3rd or the 5th. Well, you got to look at how triads are built on this, right? So look at this. So 1, 4, and 5. I told you that those guys, remember from last week, those are the primary triads, right? They are majors. They're always major. Okay, so they're always major. So that means I have to put those serifs on top of there like that. Major. These are minors. Those are my secondary triads. I'll just put some dots on those there. And a dot on that there. Now I can see very clearly that these are majors. Those are minors. And I have to adapt this one because I know it's diminished. I have to add the diminished symbol just so that I know that that is the case. It makes more sense than having all uppercase and all lowercase Roman numerals. I find this, if you come across this, yeah, where you go, someone says, yeah, these are your chords, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then 7, and they might give you that there. That's so confusing because to me that looks like major, 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 diminished, but it's spelt major. Okay, so that's what's going on there. I'll tell you what I'm going to do is I'm going to come up for a little minute. I'll just come up for a breath, and then what we'll do is I'll scroll up and just see how everybody is getting on with this. Yeah, wallop that like, guys. So there's something magical about the number 12. Well, yeah, 12 months in the year. So let's have a look. Roman numerals, the Nashville number system, Aeolian modes. The major is a mode. Yes, my knees hurt. It is a mode. Funnily enough, I remember reading chromatic. Oh crikey, I can't remember the author's name. The guy's name, George. I want to say George. Chromatic Lydian principle. Chromatic Lydian is basically it's a really old. Before we switched to major, music was in Lydian, but prior to that, it was Dorian. That was the sound that we all liked. So it's like we're living in an age where major is the most important sound, but years ago it wasn't. How cool is that? You know what I mean? To know that was the thing. So But if you listen to a lot of old school stuff like Gregorian chant or Garnham, all that kind of stuff, you'll find that you'll hear a lot of that sort of thing there. And Phil James says, yeah, mode is just a mood. Yes. My knees hurt. I think mode confusion continues because it's never mentioned that the major scale is a mode. It's the master mode. You can think of it as that. Yeah, that's the way. There. Greg says, I think of it as copy and paste for minor, chop 6 and 7 and paste at the start. Yes. Yes. Major and minor are just inversions of each other if you want to think about it in that. Or if you think about it, it's a queue. I always imagine it as like being like a queue of people waiting. You know, like I seem to remember on the news when I was a kid, yeah, in the 70s, and seeing people queuing for bread. Yeah, right. And it's like, it's basically like you've got a queue of people all waiting to be served, and then it's like as soon as the first person is finished, they go to the back of the queue, and then the next person joins in there. So it's just the same number of people, but it just keeps on turning around. That's what modes are. It's kind of like a Rolodex. Does it even make sense in that kind of way? It's almost nothing changes. The notes don't change. Maybe I should do another lesson on modes. I haven't done one in a while. So there we go. Hand of Rock covers 3 semitones. Pinky on root. That's a different way of thinking about it there. And then so that's a way to kind of move yourself between those as well. Let's have a look. Major scale equals Ionian mode. Yes, it's the Ionian mode. We have Erin Boss says, but then why we say E to F before in major scale like we do in minor, B to C? I'm not too sure what you mean with that. David, Aeolian is minor, Ionian is major. Yeah, you can think of it in that way. The formula stands the test of that. Use is slightly different. It's different because if you think in modally, then the way you think about harmony is a little bit different, and about cadences. This is why I wanted to get into cadences, guys. And I mentioned last week talking about minor cadences and modal cadences, and just forming good modal chord progressions, that kind of stuff. So that's all kind of ties into that. But like Shauna says, Aeolian is the natural minor, yeah, and it is relative to Ionian, which is the major, okay, which is the important one. It's the big boss of the scales, okay. So we've got that one there. Elizabeth says, oh crap, I'm lost on the why of the minor formula, flat 6 and 7. The flat 6 and the flat 7, it comes about because of, which is a good question. Let's put it in there. Let's get it in there. Let's zoom in, and let's get on here, and maybe we'll zoom in just a little bit on this bit. Let's see. So what we can do is, what we're doing here is, Elizabeth, we can see is that we've got the root, we've got the second, we've got the flat third, we've got the fourth, we've got the fifth, and then we get this flat sixth. Because if this was a regular sixth, then it would be an F sharp that we'd have here. We wouldn't have a half step, okay? And that would knock this out as well. Then, so what we'd have to do is we'd have to have it would get complicated. So the thing is, because that is, look, it's a step down from the root there. Yeah, that's an A and that's a G. That's a step between them, right? But in between the step, there's going to be a half step. So we don't want to start. We don't want to mess around with that. Okay. So really, if you think about it, half a step down would be a major 7, and then a half step down again would be a minor 7, which is a flat 7. And the same thing we could do down here. This would be a major 6, and this is a flat 6. So really, it's all about this structure and seeing this stuff coming around. I think, Elizabeth, I don't know if you're in PDF Club, but this sheet is absolutely wonderful for showing you the way. Okay, this sheet, because what we do is we just compare everything to the chromatic scale, and you can see how everything shifts around. Okay, and I could for today's purpose, just for this, yeah, I could just show you. This is the major scale. I'm going to put the major scale in here and what the major scale looks like, and you'll see why. Okay, hopefully this is going to make sense. So we've got the 3, 4, got the 5, got the 6th. Remember that formula that we had? Root, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th. Okay. So the thing is, if we take that, if that was a C and that was a C, yeah, the same note, the way we alter everything, you see how that major third has come down to be a flat third there. Can you see that? So we've moved that down there. This 4th is in exactly the same place. This is why these are in columns here, guys, just to help you to really see where everything is. So got that there. 5th is the same. But look at that 6th. It has to come down. And then when we flatten that 6th, what happens is we add these semitones in here in these locations. And these create tension, which are the things that make things sad. Yeah, that flat third there, that's the thing that makes it minor. Yeah, this major third, that's the thing that makes that major. Okay, so that's a major third, that's a minor third. That's defining the tonality of the scale. Okay, so we're looking at that there. Now you can see that flat 6 is there, and even there you can see that we've modified. So we ended up modifying 3 notes from the major scale to find the minor scale formula. Okay, hopefully that has cleared it up a little bit there. But you know, every chance I get to explain this from a different perspective, the better it is, because somebody's going to go, all right, I get that, I understand how that works. So that's there. That we're just looking at those. Let's have a look. I learnt it as the four tetrachords. The 4 tetrachords. I'm not too sure what you mean about that, Kanocha. I mean, tetrachords. I think of tetrachords for the circle of fifths, really, and for the circle of fourths. But that's something completely different. We've got Wobbly Bob is now on the 2nd degree. Rocket is spot on there, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to put these chords in. But just making sure everybody's got this. Randall says, going to have to rewatch this, confused on how to get to the relative scale on the starting point. It's basically, if you think about it, it's count up to chord 6, yeah, or to the 6th degree of the major scale. That is the first note of your relative minor. Or you can equally count back a minor third. Yeah, some people find that easier. And I think somebody mentioned that with the hand of rock fingers. Yes, you can do that. That's a good way of visualizing it on guitar. In fact, let me just do that quickly. Yeah, just so that we've got it. Okay. So if I'm in A major, yeah, here, what I could do is if I drop down a flat third, yeah, which is a step and a half step, that takes me down to the root note of chord 6 in that key. So look. That's an F sharp. That's an F sharp there. So if it's, then that is going to be the root note from a relative minor. So I would play F sharp minor there. That would be the chord 1. That would be chord 4. Chord 5 in my relative minor. Okay. Chord flat 3. Chord flat 6. Chord flat 7 we get here. So I just have to show you how that works. But what we're doing is we do that hand of rock thing. You just go that distance between there. Think of the pinky as major and the index as minor. That's the easiest way to think about it there. Hopefully that makes sense. Let's keep scrolling down here. The minor scale pattern is the same as the major scale, but starts on the 6th note of the major scale. Yeah, you could go around it in a circle. I think I've done that in a lesson a while ago with what I call the diatonic tonality cycle. Sounds complicated, but it isn't. It's a nice way to visualize it. I think we're just about getting there. And Maria would have to have a look at. I'd have to have a look at that page 62 of the book. Jeff says a major scale is whole, half, whole, half. Yes, he puts a W in the middle to make it easier to see, like a phone number. Jeff, the man after my own heart, chunking things down, because that's the way we do things, isn't it? That's how we remember information. It's the easiest way that we do this. Okay. Let's have a look. Scrolling down. This answers so many questions I've had for years. That's great, Stephen. That's what we want. To a slight understanding of modes. I'm not getting into modes. Right, okay, because what I want to do is I want to get into the 3 minors, okay, first. But we've got to get into the 3 minors as well, you know, really. That's what we need to do. So cycle of thirds does stuff. Yes. Water Dog says, can you try explain this whole major minor thing in music? How we can use it creatively? Rules. How do I mix them? I heard the major, minor, etc. thing. Don't understand the why. Water Dog, you missed last week's lesson. We talked about cadences and how chords basically have you've got approach sounds, basically that you've got the chords that are the kind of setting up the vibe, then you have chords that create the tension, and then you have chords that take the tension away and release. Yeah, that's what we're dealing with. George Russell, Phil James says, that's the one. And that's what I'm saying. Look on the channel, look at last week's lessons. It'll be there waiting for you. It's just there waiting for you. So that's what you need to do. But I've done plenty of other ones about the major minor thing, why the triads sound sad and why they sound happy and everything. Okay, so yeah, David was recommended to check a Wobbly Bob lesson. Going to search that up in the archives. Yes, Wobbly Bob. We like Wobbly Bob. Scott and I am lost. Okay, so Scott Simmons says, so if I'm doing a song with major key, I tend to focus on the 3, 5, 7. What do I focus on when I have a minor key? Well, that's all down to minor cadences, I would say that, Scott. But the thing is, yeah, if you think, going back to, let me just go back to, where am I? Because I need to go to this sheet anyhow, okay? Because I want you to see how we do. I'm going to show you how I do this. And this is probably going to be the easiest way for me to get into this. Because when we write a song, yeah, if you've heard of that kind of saying, 3 chords and the truth, that's all it takes, yeah, to write a song that's meaningful to people, yeah? 3 chords and the truth. Well, if you look at this, the 3 chords are going to be the primary triads, yes? The secondary triads, they're nice for colour, but what they do is they're going to give you a different vibe. Okay, the secondary triads, you can see those guys are minor. Okay, so we've got that there. 1, 4, and 5. Those are the main ones. So if you play a C, F, and G, you're going to get a great sounding foundation. I think what I think is good to add is 6 chord and a 2 chord. 3 chord, it's okay. It's a weak sounding chord. We talked about that last week. Now, let me just turn this into minor, and this is the easiest way I think about it. We're looking at this A minor here. Remember I said that was 6. It's the 6th up, right? So look at chord 6. I'm going to take this and I'm going to put it into the front of the cue, like I said, in that bread cue. Remember I mentioned the bread cue there, right? So what I do is now A minor is at the front of the cue. That's my most important sound. So because it's minor, I'm going to use my protocol with my Roman numerals. It's not going to be uppercase. It's going to be lowercase because it's a minor tonality. We bake the tonality of the chord into the Roman numeral. It's going to help you once we start to understand and get into some of the other stuff that I want to show you here, guys. So A minor. The next thing we need to do is let me just transfer these notes over. A minor, B, C, D, E, F, G. Right. Look at that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 notes. None of them are different to those. They're exactly the same notes. In fact, the chords are exactly the same. So C isn't any different. D and E are going to be minors as well. Right? We've got F, we can see is major, and we can see G as being major as well. So that's all we need to do. We need to just carry this wobbly bob symbol over here. And like I think somebody said, I think David or Phil said, we've got wobbly bob in the 2. Okay, so we get wobbly bob there in that 2 there. Now, when it comes to the 3, here's where I think it becomes really important to carry the scale information over. I'm going to do a 3 here, and we can see that that's a major tonality. I'm going to do it there, but I'm going to come back to that. We've got D minor, we've got E minor. Notice no serifs. Major, it's got the serifs on it. Minor, no serifs. This chord here, we've got to have this one here. This is F major, This is going to be G major. So you can see now we have a different kind of a 7. This is why I find this whole very, very sort of confusing if you do it with just one case. You need uppercase and lowercase to do this. But what's missing here is if we look here, we can marry the scale formula to the Roman numeral spelling. And let me just highlight how important I think that is. We can marry the scale formula to the Roman numeral spelling. Okay, it's going to save you so much heartache. Yeah, you just need to do this. Okay, right. So the root, yes, it belongs to chord 1. That's your tonic of the key. Okay. Then what happens is we get this diminished here. That's fine, okay? But that's going to be the second chord. It's a second chord in the minor key. This is the major key. This is the minor key. We get the minor there. Chord 3. Now, if you remember, when we wrote out that scale formula for the natural minor, we had a flat third. We have a flat third here. So what I want to do is I want to amend this Roman numeral with a flat next to it to show that that is flattened. I'm carrying that information over onto that. You can see the 4th, the 5th, and then the flat 6, and then the flat 7. I want to do the same thing here. Flat 6, flat 7. That's why when I played it, you might have thought to yourself, what the heck's Ricky on about? Flat, you know, because it sounds like I'm telling you the name of a chord, but I'm not. What I'm doing is I'm carrying over the scale formula, and then if you have that linked to the actual chords, then you can see what's going on, you know. And like I say, I do want to do this whole thing about minor cadences, but the thing is you need to understand all about the 3 minors that we're digging into today. Yeah, so look here, what you can see in the minor key, the primary triads in the minor key, the minor, okay? Everything gets redistributed. This is a beautiful diagram. This is a beautiful diagram that you need to just like, you need to look at it and see how wonderful it is and how it tells you. But seriously different. Haydar says, so how can I change a key when I'm writing a song or if I want to borrow a chord? That's a completely different lesson. That's a completely different lesson. That's an easy... I did a video on how to spice up your chord progressions, talking about using the parallel minor. So what we could do, look, we could think of these as being the secondary major triads. But look, nothing's changed, guys. There's the primary triads. There's the we don't want to really call them the secondary minor triads. We don't want to confuse it with that really, with that there. But hopefully you can see what's gone on there is we've spelt out all these chords. We've got all the chords there, and we can see where we're going to get our chord progressions. We want to write a song 3 chords and the truth with a minor in there for a bit of contrast. Then we put something like the A minor or the D minor in. We want a sad chord, A minor, D minor, E minor. Put something else in. I think really the flat 6 chord is going to be probably the best one in there. C major. If you go to that one, it's going to sound like you're going back to the major again. Okay, so that's what's going to happen there. And so just like we did before here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just put this here. I'm going to put the spelling for these here, right? And I've put that as diminished there at the minute. And then what I've got is I've got this flat 3, okay? And then what I've got here is I have my 4 chord, and I've got my 5 chord, and I've got my flat 6, I've got my flat 7. So now this is, and I should state this, yeah, because I had a guy get really funny with me once about the way I was doing this. It's like, this is jazz stuff, guys. This is the way jazz people understand it. If you're coming from a classical music background, it might not make that much sense. It might feel counterintuitive, but this is the way to understand it. It's superior. And the thing is, it's like, it's about the notation is all about the transmission of an idea and making it easier for people to understand the music theory, turning the theory into something practical. That's the whole goal here. This is why we learn theory, so that we can turn it into something practical, and then we can actually understand it, and then I go, all right, okay, that whole thing makes sense. Now what I want to do here is I do want to, because I want to get into the harmonic minor scale here, yeah. Because these are the three minors. These are the three minors, not the three tenors. The three minors, right? Okay, so we have three minor keys, right? And so what we get is we get the natural minor, we get the harmonic minor, and we get the melodic minor. Now the thing is, right, the melodic minor, okay, this melodic minor, we might not get, I'll do the formula, but won't get into doing it. Dot missing on the fourth chord, you're right there. Oh, get them dots, cross the T's, get the dots in. But what I'm also going to do while I'm here, yeah, and like I say, for PDF Club, I've got some beautiful handouts for this already. We've got a minor 7. I put it that as I'm just extending these up here. I'm just going to extend them up, right? And I can do that. Look. In fact, let's do this. Let's do this. Oh, look how beautiful that is. This is the natural minor circle of thirds. Now, equally, this is an enharmonic version of the major one, the major cycle of thirds. Remember, this is going to be C major, so no sharps, no flats, okay? So if I go here, I'm going to go A. I go here. This is going to be C, E, G, B, D, F, and then we go back to A again, because what we've got, every good band deserves fans and cash. Whatever which way it works for you, yeah, I'm not fussed. If you want to change the saying, that's the thing. Okay, that's the thing that needs to happen. I've also, just for those who need to know, I call it the circle of thirds. Not all the thirds are the same distance. The distance between this degree here and this degree here, this is a minor third, which is why I put there flat third. This is a major third, minor third, major third, minor third, minor third. And that's useful information, because if you know how your triads stack up, this is why it's important to know your major triads, your minor triads, your diminished triads, and your augmented triads, how they work, because it just makes it so much easier. So I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, chord 1, I'm extending it. Look, guys, let me just show you the beauty, the majesty of the circle of thirds in here in the natural minor. Look, so we've got A, that's the root note of chord 1 there. C's the flat third, that's the 5th, and that's the flat 7. And it even tells me on that one there. Yeah, I could carry on and go all the way around this. Look at that, and think of that second in its compound value would be a 9. This would be a 4th, would be an 11th, and a 6th would be a 13. Don't worry about that if you're not there, okay? But look, 4-note chords. Yes, we've got the triad, and then we add a 7th. You can see how that works, and that would give me this sound here, minor 7. Right? That would be my 1 chord. Okay, now what I could do is if I go along here, I can carry on, and I can say to myself, okay, well, what's going to be my 3 chord? I could go C, E, G. There's my major, and that's the note that's going to be my 7th there. So look, right, C major. This is the equivalent of chord 1 in the major, because this is the parallel. They are relative to each other. Okay, so. Looking at that. Now, what I wanted to extract from this is a couple of different things, actually. Let's just look at this. If we want to think about, and I mentioned a 2-5-1, okay? 2-5-1 in the major. 2 here is going to be a D minor. The 5 is going to be a G. And then the 1 is going to be a C, okay? Now, as triads there, okay, as triads there, they're pretty dull, which is why I've included this extra information. But hopefully you can see that what I've done is I've put minus. Let me just put a little key to that, little legend. So minus equals minor. The triangle equals major. Right, what else have we got? We've got this. See this little symbol here? It looks like it's a circle, and it basically it's a, you take a diminished sign and you put a line through it. It means it's half diminished. Right, so that's half diminished. Just one of those symbols that you have to get used to, and then you can see that. So you can read that and you can go, well, that's a minor key it's a minor 7, so that's a major 7. That's a minor 7. That's a 7th. Okay, this is a diminished 7th, right, or half diminished if you want to think about it. A minor 7 flat 5, and then we've got a minor 7, and then we've got a major 7, major 7 chord there. So you can see what I've done is we can take the Roman numeral and then we can extend it by adding the tonality as extra information. It just becomes a little way to be able to write all this stuff out. We're used to doing it with the diminished like that, but maybe less so seeing it with this extra gubbins on it there. So hopefully that makes sense. We have all that gubbins. It's all there. Everything is there on that one there. But this is the minor key. Okay? Now, what we did before, where is it? Where's my sheet? Right? We had this. This is a major 2-5-1. Now, what I want to do is, I just want to extend these. And I'm going to get a D minor 7, a G7. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a C major 7. Yeah? So, hang on, let me write those in parentheses underneath in that language. G7 and then C major 7. So it's another way of understanding your chords and all the little way we name things and the little symbols that we use as shorthand. It's essentially shorthand, guys. Well, let me just play you what that sounds like. A 2-5-1 in a major 2-5-1. This is a popular one, it's a major 2-5-1. So we've got a D minor, we've got a G7, and then we get a C major 7. Can you hear that? Isn't that lovely? There's a 2-5-1 again. So what we can do is you can chain those as well. When it gets to the 1, you can. The other popular thing to do is, if I play it, start a bit further up, it'll go. There's the 2, 5, 1. Now what I do is move that, change that 1 to a minor 7. There's a major 7, 2, 5, 1, 2, 5. And that way we can change through the keys there with those. So that's a really sort of common way of adapting the major 2-5-1. But this lesson was not about the major 2-5-1. Yeah, it's a good one. But I think it's a bit vanilla, don't you? What do you think? But it's really lifty. It's quite uplifting. And now I like it a bit more moody. I don't know about you. You know what I mean? I like my music a bit moody. So let's have a look. So what we're going to do now is we're going to look at the minor instead. Let's look at the minor. And let's do a 2, a 5, and a 1 here. So if I have a minor, right? And remember, this is natural minor. We get a 2. We can see here it's wobbly bob, okay, which is going to be B diminished, right? But because when we do these as sevenths, we're going to do that as a half diminished, so that's going to be a minor 7 flat 5. So maybe put that underneath. B minor 7 flat 5 in parenthesis there. Then what happens is when we get to the 5, we get this E minor. Oh. Okay, so hang on, I've done that again there. Right, so E minor. I'm not going to write anything there because what we're going to do is we're going to swap that out because it's you'll hear. And then we go to the 1, which is the A minor. Okay. Now ordinarily what we do is turn that into an E minor 7. We turn that into an A minor 7. So let me just play these for you instead. Okay. and we put the A minor 7 like that in parenthesis as well. Because I want you to hear this. It's about hearing. Hearing is believing, okay? Hearing is believing. Now, the thing that I said was that we've got this B diminished. Now, it's half diminished. So what we've got is essentially we've got a minor 7 flat 5, okay? Okay, minor 7 flat 5. Now, I can play it there. Let me play it here. I can play it here, okay? This probably might be a bit easier. So then I go B minor 7 flat 5, and then I go to the E minor 7, and then I go to the A minor 7. Now, if you listen to that, now it's pleasant enough, but what you'll hear is that that's a good strong tension sound, yeah, because it's got that diminished quality to it. And then we go to the. That's too uplifting. We need some more tension. We need to keep the tension going. And then we go to the A minor here. Okay? So really, what we need to do is we need to substitute a chord. And what we're doing is we're going to substitute this chord here. We're going to substitute the 5. Oh, and what ends up happening is gets really strong. We turn that into a 5-7 chord, so we end up with an E7 instead. Okay, so we end up with an E7 instead. Let me just play that. So B minor 7, we'll get that some volume on that, yeah, and then we go. Now it starts to sound a bit more moody. Let's compare that back to our original, which was, yeah, this is the major 2-5-1, this is the 5, and here's the 1. Okay, but here's the minor 2-5-1 with that substituted chord, and you can hear that it automatically, we've got more moodiness. Okay, we've got more moodiness. We love it when it gets moody. Okay, so we have that. Now, the thing is where the heck did we get that E7 from? You know, if you think about it, look, here's the E major, E minor 7, sorry, that we had for the 5 chord. That's fine, but if I want to play that as a 7th chord, I get a G sharp. Well, how do I sneak that G sharp in? Where did the 7 come from? Where did that 5 chord come from? That dominant chord come from? Well, let me show you, because this is where we start to borrow from the parallel minors. Okay, we're going to borrow from the parallel minors. So let's look at this and I'll show you what happens. Right, I'll show you how gently puts down guitar. This is kind of like that entry point to jazz. It is a bit. Now, I love the harmonic minor. But it's so easy to understand. Let me just pull this sheet back again here. Remember, I thought it was on my screen then. Right. Remember, major, minor. That's your natural minor that we had there. The scale formula for the minor, we can see it: root, second, third, fourth, fifth, root, second, flat, third, fourth, fifth, flat 6, flat 7. There is only one note that is different in this whole shebang, yeah? And I'll just show you how easy it is to understand the harmonic minor. We get a root, just like we get with the natural minor. We get a second, we get a third, because, you know why? Because it's a minor, because it's a minor third. The third is telling you, right? We get a fourth, we get a fifth, we even get a flat 6. Okay? But what happens is this flat 7 becomes a major 7. Okay? Just like Just like, let me just get some more colour on this. Different colour. Hopefully you're all with me, guys, because it isn't as hard as you think, I don't think, music theory, when you start to knock into it and you see it in this manner. Yeah, we're still on the columns. We're still looking at how these columns line up next to each other. Remember, that's the major. I've just done the pink there to show you the major. This is the natural minor scale here. But what you get here is you get this. You get a major 7. And the funny thing is, how the heck, what does that sound like? Well, let me play that as a scale, because I want to show you how this works. Because we had this. If I play this as I'll play it as a C. I'll play it as a C major. Okay, so look, here's C major. But what I want you to hear is I want you to hear the 7th note. The 7th note is called the leading note because it leads back to the tonic. Okay, we go root, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th. Now I'm going to play that. Listen here. I'll play the chord first, and once I play the chord, and then I play the scale, you're going to feel the urge. You're going to need me to resolve back on the root note. Okay. Can you feel that tension? In your head, you're singing that note, aren't you? Okay. Okay, that's wonderful. Now, listen to the C natural minor. I'm going to play the C natural minor up 1 octave. And I'm going root, 2nd, flat 3rd, 4th, 5th, flat 6th, flat 7, and then the root. Now listen to the flat 7 to the root. Doesn't want to resolve. It's not as urgent, is it? So listen. Yeah, it needs to resolve. Yeah, so we can hear that there. Okay, we got that there. Now, so what happens is we take the natural minor, and let me zoom in on this because I need you to see this, okay? Watch this. So this is the natural minor. This is the difference between the natural minor and the harmonic minor. Yeah, just that 7th. There's the root, 2nd and flat 3rd. Same as the natural minor. The 4th, the 5th and the flat 6th. Same as the natural minor. That's the flat 7 for the natural minor. But what we do is we go up a half step. And we go to the 7th, which gives us the leading tone quality, the leading note quality back to the root of the scale. Now, if you listen, can you feel the tension? It wants to resolve up to that note again. But the thing is, because it's a minor scale, it sounds exotic. Can you hear it sounds exotic? Yeah, so because it's exotic, it sounds cool. And we need this in our vocabulary, guys. Now, I can just do this here and I just show you. All right, and this is something to think about. This is a guitar tangent. This is a tangent. Whenever I think of this natural minor, I think of box 1 minor pentatonic. Lives in the same place because the pentatonic is a skeleton. Yes, it's just got the skeleton. The natural minor has just 2 more notes, so it makes sense to think that the harmonic minor is going to live in the same position as our pentatonic boxes. And in the handout that I've got for this, I've got 2 positions. So I'd have that there, so I can those scales. I can mix a blues scale. So you start to hear that just by switching that harmonic minor in there, I can get some interesting sounds. So now what I need to do is I need to show you how we get that 5 chord though. I still need to get you that 5. So this is really, this Jeff says, so minor is derived from major, but harmonic minor is just a modified minor. Yeah, you can think about it in that way. And if you think about it, and from what I understand, it all makes sense when you start getting into flamenco Andalusian music. It's basically, where back to the Crusades, yeah, and where the Moors and the Saracens and the Knights Templar and everything, they're all kind of battling and stuff. But do you know what was going on as well? There was exchange of information. It's where the guitar comes from, guys. It's where the guitar comes from. Yeah, you think about it. The guitar used to be an instrument called the oud. Yes, O-U-Ds, and essentially that travelled up through to Spain, into southern Spain, Andalusia. You've got something called the Andalusian cadence. Yes, the Andalusian cadence. Look at this. Yes, so yes, if I do that, it sounds Spanish. But why does it sound Spanish? It's because it's linked to the harmonic minor. Okay, so the thing is, if you hear that sound and you think, oh yeah, Rocket's got it, Blackmore, yes, Blackmore, Yngwie. This is the thing that you need to know. I know this is a 251 jazz lesson, but this leads to, yeah, Middle Ages Battle of the Bands. This leads into how to get into all that sort of Yngwie stuff. If you understand this is why this has taught me so much, because I thought to myself, all right, now I understand harmonic minor. It's like, yeah, I don't have to play all the chords like as big fancy augmented and all sorts of different strange voices. It'll work over power chords. It still works, and I can still do stuff around that. But it's really, I kind of suppose that the way I've been thinking about this is I've been nagged for a lesson on getting into wobbly bob and the diminished stuff. This is how we get in. This is the doorway in, because the diminished, there are two types of diminished. Yes, there's 2 types of diminished. There's half diminished, which we've already encountered as being here in chord 2. Hang on, let me just make sure that that's properly half diminished there when I start adding the tonalities and the sounds on these. So we've got this here, and then we've got this 6 here, which is going to be major 7, and then we get a 7 chord here. Okay, so we've got those extra tonalities in here. Richie's Gypsy Scale, it's probably one of the harmonic minor modes, Kev. Probably, you know, but I know it there's lots of different ways. There's harmonic minor, there's double harmonic minor, there's lots of different ways around it, but we're just focusing on this one for now. Okay, so really, now the thing is, the curious thing is what I find fascinating is to watch out for is this business here. Look at this, guys, because remember, this is a step. So that's a half step and a half step. That's a full step, and then another half step. What happens is between the flat 6 and the 7, we get a minor third. Okay, how cool is that? So we get a flat third in between there. We get a flat third there. No. Raised fourth. The raised fourth, without any extra information, the raised fourth is Lydian to me. So let's look at this. Now, what happens is I need to get into the chords around this. Now we can actually do so. Right. So let's just have a look at this one here. Let's think about this. Yeah, okay. So we're going to go through here. We're going to go through this in the cycle of thirds. So where are we going? And cash every good band deserves fans. Okay, right. So what we've got is we've got all those notes there. This is going to be our key for the harmonic minor. Now the wonderful thing about the harmonic minor, we've got a circle of thirds in the harmonic minor, guys. Circle of thirds in the harmonic minor. We can use this as well, okay, to help us to see the extensions, see what kind of thirds we have in between roots and thirds and fifths and fifths and sevenths and all that good stuff, okay? So we've got all that going on. But what we need to do is we need to make this adjustment, because essentially what we've got here is we've got exactly the same notes as our natural minor. And if you remember, what we did is we raised the seventh, didn't we? So what have we got? A, B, C, A. You can count up on your fingers if you want, or you can go through here, or you could just scoot ahead and see what chord 7 actually is. We can see what chord 7 is there, and you can see that chord 7, yeah, which is the leading note. The 7th note is the leading note, chord 7. We're equating it to the same thing. So chord 7 is going to be a G sharp, okay? And that's what we have to apply in there. So although this is essentially in the key signature, it looks like C major / A minor, it isn't, okay? Because we need to raise the G half step, okay, for this all to work. And you can see that in between the E and the G, it should be a major third, which it is, okay? So, but what we do to show that this is harmonic minor, then what we're going to have to do is we're going to put that G sharp in, and we're going to put it here, and we're going to put it in brackets, okay? So the thing is, if you were playing in what looks like you're playing in C major, and then all of a sudden a G sharp pops up out of nowhere, you know where it's coming from. You know that sharp is coming from the harmonic minor, okay? Okay, so that's the way that we're looking at it here, guys. Hopefully that, you know, tallies with how you're thinking about it. But what that it's innocuous little alteration. It's nothing of an alteration, is it? But I tell you what it does is it changes everything. It changes the sounds of all your chords. And then what happens is you get these more exotic sounding chords. Now, how far are we in on this one? We are 1 hour 43 in on this. Let's keep going. Let's crack on. Right? So the thing is, what I can do is I can look at this here, and I can say to myself, and I'm going to go, all right, okay, let's look at a 2 and a 5 and a 1. Right? Remember, the 1 is minor. Okay? So 2, 5, 1. So my 2, well, look, if I go around, I can see it forms around here. My 2, look at the symbol. Can you see the symbol? Do I need to zoom in? It might help if I zoom in and scroll down a wee bit. Look at that. It's the circle with the line through it. The circle of the line through it. What does that mean, guys? Type it in the chat. Yeah? So I'm going to apply that there on the... I'm going to apply that on the 2 there. Let's look at the 5. Okay? The 5, it's capital. It's uppercase. It's a 5/7. So this is where we get that E major. That E7 chord comes from. We're borrowing this from that 5 from the harmonic minor. That's what's going on there. Okay? So in this instance, we're going to have a B diminished with the half diminished, sorry, B minor 7 flat 5. We're going to have an E7, and then we're going to have a 1. Now the thing is, this one we don't necessarily have to stay in the harmonic minor. If we were going to go for this one would be an A minor with a major 7. Okay, that would be A minor major 7, and I'll just play the sound of this chord, and then once you hear the sound of this, yeah, you will be you'll be like, oh, right, okay. So let's do this as an A minor. No, Mr. Bond. just imagine James Bond on that table with the laser, just like getting closer and closer to his crotch, you know. Yeah, so that's the A minor. That's the A minor major 7. So it's a minor. Instead of it having a minor 7 like the natural minor key has, yeah, we have a major 7 instead, and that's what creates that clash. Yeah, because we get that semitone. Okay, so then what we got is there's the 1 chord, sorry, the 2 chord. There's that diminished. That's a minor 7 flat 5, and then we go to the E7, and then we can go to the A minor with the major 7. But that is too harsh. What we're after is, if you remember from cadences last week, yeah, we're after that tension sound, that dominant to a tonic sound. Okay, we're after creating some release. So what we can do is we just go straight back. We just go straight back to our natural minor, and we just put a bog standard. Have I got it here? Yeah, I have. Okay. Just to show you, for comparison. We just need this for comparison. I'll just switch over here. So you can see harmonic minor. We get a minor with the major 7. But in the natural minor, we get a minor with the minor 7. Yeah, so it's just a minor 7, 7 chord. And that's where we're going with this, guys. So really, this is the cool thing. So we take that 2, 5, 1. Play it as a triad as well, yeah? I can add the 7th on here. So that is the basis of what we're getting into today. Right? Now that's essentially what I've tried to describe to you. Now I do need to, for the sake of being complete, because I don't want this sheet to languish somewhere and it not be completed. Yes, I just want to. I'm not going to do the circle of thirds with this one though. But we will do it at some point in the future. I just want you to look at this. Now, the thing, like I said, that is different, that I like about the harmonic minor scale, the only thing that's different, I'm going to put a different colour on this. No, it won't make it stand out. Let's put this on. Let's overlay another colour on top to show you that's the note that's making all the difference. Okay? That is the note that is making all the difference. Now, the melodic minor, the easiest way to remember the melodic minor. Okay. Do you want to know the easiest way to remember the melodic minor? I'm sure you do. Yeah, the easiest way to remember the melodic minor scale formula is it's a major scale with a flat third. It's just a major scale with a flat third. I'll show you. Look, remember the pink up there, that was the major scale, root. We had a second. I'm going to leave the third for a minute. We'll put the 4th in, the 5th. I'm going to put the 6th in. I'm going to put the 7th in. But look, so what I do is I take the third, and if I lower it 1, I get a flat third. And that flat third, remember what I was saying, guys? Minor. That's the thing that's defining the tonality. That's giving you your sense of minorness, if that's even a word. So look, root, 2nd and 3rd, all good. You see, it looks like a minor, right? But then it goes a bit. If you want to compare the harmonic minor to the melodic minor, they're both the same apart from the 6th. Okay, that you could think of that. You could think of them in that context. That's the easiest way to see the melodic minor. We'll get into some melodic minor theory stuff maybe later on, but I think that's really useful to see there. So let me just write out the chords. But the thing I want you to really take away from this is that the harmonic minor is where the true diminished is. All right, okay. It took me years to understand that the diminished, it only lives there, and it's on here. This is it. This is it here. And notice No half diminished. There's nothing like that going on. I'll write the tonality of these chords in as I go along here on the harmonic minor. Minor, major 7. That's what we get for chord 1. Chord 2, we get half diminished. It's not full diminished. Okay? On chord 3, look, it's going to be exactly the same. Look, 'cause I need that. I've got my flat 3. But here's the thing. It's got a sharp 5. Right? And if you take it up to the 7th, we get a major 7 as well. So we can extend this. Look at that. Look at there. There's a lot of information in that. Let me just unpack that a bit more. There's a lot of information in that little bit there. Yeah? It's telling you it's a major triad, but the plus is telling you it's augmented, right? So we take a major triad, we sharp the 5th, and we get an augmented triad, right? But relative to the root or the tonic, it's a flat 3rd away. And if we want to extend it into its 7th voicing, then it's a major 7th sound. Hopefully you've got that. Okay, there's a lot there, guys. Okay. Now, what we get here is we get 4, which is going to be minor 7, which is, look, there's something, you start to see where these chords cross over, where these keys cross over into each other. Look at the flat 3 in the natural minor. Yeah, no augmented. You've got some augmented there. Okay, it's like you start to see where this all tallies in. So the 5th, this is the one. This is where we are getting the 5th, 7th. This is where the chord 5 comes from. So this is what we do. We just borrow that up to that one there. We switcheroo that to that. We substitute the 5 chord from the harmonic minor into the natural minor. Okay. Let's have a look. Okay, let me just have a look and just make sure everybody's okay. I'll just look at some questions. Does that mean the natural minor scale has 2 wobbly bobs? No, the natural minor scale doesn't have 2 wobbly bobs. The harmonic minor. Let me just think about this. Let me just go through them. The harmonic minor has it's got a proper diminished and it's got a half diminished. Yes. Melodic minor has 2 wobbly bobs. Yeah, it has 2 half diminished. All right, we'll get through that. Let me just carry on. I'll just carry on through this. Just make sure everybody's okay and caught up. Can I the rationale for the harmonic? I think harmonic is more Ryan, the whole thing with the harmonic, from what I understand, really, the origin of why it's thought of that way is because of the way that the leading note works. You know, the T do back to the tonic. Yeah. Whereas the melodic, now I'm drawing out the melodic minor here. I'm drawing out is the jazz melodic minor. In the traditional classical way of doing it, what you would do is with the melodic minor, you would ascend in the melodic minor, but when you descend, you would descend in the natural minor. Yeah, it's just a silly rule. Yeah, and I think that it's been a while since I looked at why that was what it was called, the melodic minor. But it's a good question. I might have to come back to you on that, actually. But the thing is, that's from what I understood, as I was thinking that the harmonic is basically because of the leading note, but the melodic is more to do with the classical approach. But good question. I probably need to noggin up on why that's called what it's called. Let's have a look. So here we go. Any more questions? Isn't Dorian Major? This simple chord progression is teaching me so much, I think. Ricky C is a rich version of Rick Beato. Thank you. Lost on where the chord extensions are coming from. The augmented lost me. There and why and where. That's all to do, Kai. That's all to do with the relationship. Let's have a look. If I go to the harmonic minor, if I go to the harmonic minor, right, we go back here. If you remember the way that I'll briefly explain it. Because I do realise we're getting into the thick end of 2 hours here now. If we think about how the triads stack up, root, third, fifth. We can see that what happens is, I've done a lesson on this. In between the root and the third, what happens is I'm just going to put major, that triangle to show that that's major, and then in between the third and the fifth we get minor. Okay, so that's going to be the formula for a major triad. For a minor, what happens is we go root, we get a flat third, and we get a fifth. Okay, so basically that just flips over. We get a minor and then we get a major third. Okay, so that's a minor third, it's a major third. It flips over. Now when we get augmented, what happens is we get a root, we get a third, but something happens to the fifth now, and this is the difference between major and minor is all about the third. Augmented and diminished, yeah, it's all about the fifth, how the fifth gets altered. If we look at the distance between the third and the fifth here, what happens is we raise the fifth, and that means we get two major thirds stacked on top of each other. With the diminished, what happens is we get the flat third, and the fifth, that gets lowered one half step, so we get two minors stacked on top of each other there. So that's how those work there. Now, if you just look around here, and you can see, if we look at the distance between some of these notes, you see here this one's chord 3, but you can see it says that it's augmented. That's the root note there. This is the third, and this is the fifth. And you'll see that the distance between a C and an E is a major third, and the distance between an E and a G sharp is a major third. So that's a major third and a major third, which is telling me that it's an augmented triad there. Now we can extend any triad going around the circle of thirds. Yes, so if we started here, this would be the root note of this C chord. That would be the third. That would be the fifth. That would be the seventh. That would be the ninth. That would be the 11th. That would be the 13th. We'd have to look at the spelling of it. Yes, but the spellings, we can find them directly linked in the scale formulas for the modes. And I'm going to say this, right? But I don't want you to panic about this. Yes, I don't want it to sound like the harbinger of doom, because it's like most of you are like, oh, all right, it's modes, okay? Oh, modes, right? And everybody's confused about modes, but harmonic minor has its own modes. But those modes, those modal names, are based on understanding your regular diatonic modes. When I say diatonic, I mean your regular modes where we have Ionian, Dorian, etc. Okay? Hopefully we are good with that, okay? Melodic minor, melodic chords. I'd be careful with ChatGPT. It can be a bit random in doing things, in explaining things. So hopefully that makes sense. But you can see the relationship in these here with the distance going around in these, So, but I do love this. It's pretty cool. But the circle of thirds, it wins again, guys. It's winning again, and hopefully that makes sense of that. Where are we? And it's good to see all that. I think we're okay. Now, where was I going with this? All right, I know where I was going with this. So that 5, we know that 5 has come from the harmonic minor, and that's what gets us there. This is the one. This is where all the glory is. This is. I'm just gonna do it. I'm gonna put it there. I'm just gonna put it there. Yngwie Malmsteen lives here, and Richie, yeah. But let's look at what we get here on the 6th chord. We get this 6, which is a major. but it's got a major 7 on it as well. So the thing is, you can see we've got some interesting sounding chords here, guys. Got some really nice sounding chords. But when we get into this melodic minor, I'm just going to write these down because this is, like I say, this stuff's going to go in PDF Club. If we go here, we can see we still get this minor with the major 7 here. Then on 2, look at this. We get minor 7 on 2 there. Look at how that's just altered everything around just because of that 6th, and just one note just moving out of the way. And let me just scroll down. It makes no sense, Ricky. Right, so then what happens is we get 3 chord again, but remember I'm marrying it to the scale degree again. This is another augmented with a major 7. Okay, so it's augmented with a major 7. Then chord 4. Here's what's interesting here with the melodic minor is that we get two dominant 7th sounding chords. We could think of this as for like really outsidey sounding music, but we get a 5/7 here. So just like that 5/7 comes from the harmonic minor there, we can also borrow it easily from the melodic minor, and we think of that as how the dominant works within the middle of a key. Yeah, in our cadences. Remember what we talked about? Remember last week, guys? What was the most important cadence? The most important cadence is the full close. Yeah, is the 5/1 cadence. Yeah, so 5 to the 1, and it's like we need to be able to do things with the 5, and like I was saying last week, the 5 is the most adaptable. This is the one that we can do stuff to. Yeah, and it won't moan or anything. Now the thing is, what we've got to do is we've got to put these in here, and this is what I was on about with 2. What we end up with is oh sorry, I put an extra line in there. We ended up with a 6 wobbly bob, and we end up with a 7 wobbly bob. So we've got minor major 7. We've got for chord 2 we've got a minor 7. For chord 3 we've got an augmented with a major 7. And for chord 4, we've got a dominant 7th. For chord 5, we've got a dominant 7th. And then for chord 6, we've got a minor 7 flat 5 or half diminished. And for chord 7, we've got a minor 7 flat 5 or half diminished as well. But you'll notice, look at the absence of a true diminished chord in there, guys. There's no diminished in there. That's really critical that you get that. They get that in your noggin. That where's the diminished come from? The true diminished. And when I mean the true diminished, I mean where the diminished 7th. Yeah, I'm not going to get into it. Right. So the thing is, this just know this. Right. You probably the natural minor degree has the same degree. Not sure what you mean there. Same degree as. Okay, so hopefully that's cool. Now, what that translates to, long sesh, guys, is we end up with, and I like this one because what I did was I thought, right, let's write this. Let's do something here. Let's do something in. We'll do this in the key of C minor. Yeah, it's C minor. So I can play this here. That's my 1 chord. But if I want my 2 chord, there's my 1 chord. Look at they're a step apart. Now my 5 chord is this G7 here. Okay, so look at this. So we're gonna go. So if we go 2, this is D minor 7 flat 5, goes down to a G7, and then what we do is we go over to a C minor 7 there. Okay. Now that's the sound. Okay. Which scale has the double flat 7? not that scale, Richard. I think you might be thinking about the. Might be thinking about the diminished seventh is a double flat 7. I think that might be what you're thinking about. Okay, chord 7. If you take it up, if you harmonize it up to the 7th degree, 7th interval, then you get minus the flat 7, which is really a 6th. Okay, it sounds a 6th, if that's what you're saying. Okay, and Shauna got it there. X minus 2y equals 6. Yes. So look. Now that's cool as it is, but what I like to do is because I'm very naughty. What I like to do is I like to, on that 5, because I know this works. Yeah. The 7 chord, if you remember, the 7 chord here, it's got that diminished thing going on it. And what we can do is we can get something called a diminished dominant scale there. Okay? So you're going to have to go over this lesson a lot. Okay? So what I do is, this is nice, a lot of tension on it. Put a G7 on. But here's what I like to do with this. I like to take a note. I'm going to put this E flat in here as well. And that means I get a sharp 5. And that comes from the harmonic minor. So I'm really digging into that harmonic minor. And what happens is this is called an altered dominant. If I take it up there, that's a 13. Can you hear how resolved that is? And then if I take it down here, I get a sharp 5. And it creates a lot of tension. And then when I go to the C, it resolves. Okay? So, okay, let's have a look. Ingo says, what notes am I pressing? So I'm at the 5th fret here. I'm holding down 5 on the A. Now what I do is, personally, what I do is I think I scout with these 2 fingers first. Yeah, and it's almost like playing a D shape. No, it is. It's like playing a D shape. So if you imagine playing a D shape on the A, D, and G strings at the 5th fret like that, and then put the pinky on the 6th fret of the B string. So you can see that it's kind of stacking. These are expensive chords. There. Okay, so we've got that there. So that's the D minor 7 flat 5. These are going to be in PDF Club. I've got the chord diagrams as well for this. So we've got those fancy pants chords there. And then when I go down to the G7, this is the 3rd fret, skipping the A string, and I'm getting the flat 7 on the D string there at the 3rd fret. And I'm putting the 3rd finger, my ring finger, on the 4th fret of the G string. And then what I do is I put the pinky next to it. That's exactly the same feeling as it would do as playing a G chord. You might see that that's what that is. So look. This one here. So there's the G7. And then when it comes to the 1 chord, all I'm doing is dropping that same shape down, a string set, but I take the pinky off. Okay? So we get that. In fact, here's something I prepared earlier. Now what we could do is we could put scales on top of these. Yes, so I'm just... Here's the C harmonic minor. Root, 2nd, flat 3rd, root. 4th, 5th, flat 6th, major 7th. So I play the harmonic minor on the G7 chord, because that's where it's borrowed from. Yeah? Yeah, so we can hear, we get all that there. Listen, I've got other goodies as well. There's other things that can go in and amongst there. So that's what's going on there. So it's just those chords, those 3 chords. 2. Right, so we can think to ourselves, where's the 2 from? Well, we can see it's a minor 7 flat 5. So it's really, we could think of it as being borrowed from the harmonic minor or the natural minor. The 5 definitely from the harmonic minor, and that 1 thinking about it as being from the relative, the natural minor. Yes, sorry. Okay. And then all I just do is put the scale on there. But I think we're probably. Are we just about? I think we're probably hitting a limit here, guys. Are we hitting a limit of where we're at? Let me just put my guitar down and like just see what we do with some questions. Yeah, it is a bit Santana as well, but you can hear it's got a Latin vibe to it, hasn't it? Sounds a bit like Satana. Satan sounds a bit satanic. Yeah, so what we're gonna have to do, I think we'll probably have to resume this. Maybe that's what we do next week. Maybe that's what we do, and tie that into this here. But I've done a backing track. That'll be going up in PDF Club. Yeah, I know, Greg, Michael. Yeah, I think we're just about there. You know, it's long enough. I think we've done long enough. It's like, remember when you were at school and you had to do double maths or double chemistry? Graham says I hit my limit about an hour ago. Listen, guys, don't worry about rewatching all this stuff. What we're doing these days is if you might have seen, what we're doing is we're taking these long lives and we're taking all the waffle out and everything, and we're chopping them up and we're putting them and we're posting them on the channel as well. So if you're subscribed and you got the notifications, then you should get a little email that tells you that I've uploaded something. And basically what I'll do is I'll chunk it down. So it might be I talk about just the harmonic minor scale. It might be the first bit and then another bit and then another bit and then another bit, you know. So we'll keep on just trimming it down like that, so it makes it a bit easier to consume, and then you can come back at it, keep coming back at it. But like I said, this has got a lot. This has a lot to unpack in it. So far, what I've done is I've generated 1, 2, 3, 4. Right, I've been busy with the old papers here, so I'll have to scan these. I've got some others as well. I'll scan these and I'll upload them and I'll put them in the PDF Club. If you don't know what PDF Club is, I'll tell you what PDF Club is. PDF Club, there's the link for PDF Club. And what you can do in PDF Club is you can get all my past PDFs, everything I've done on the channel, all my future PDFs. Yeah, we don't know how long that's going to go on. I think there's hundreds of them in there. I think there's over 300. Might be 350. I don't know, something like that. There's about that many lessons in there. There's a lot in there, and there's loads of other stuff up in there as well, extras and printables. And like I say, I've done a little backing track for this. I'll upload that in there with this, and then what you can do is I'll Jimmy rig some chord charts. These chords, I guess more and more pages. These chords that I was playing here today, I'll jot them out and nice and neat and tidy, and I will upload those as well, so you can play along to the backing track. You just play along with the chords, just so you can see where they live. Yeah, but hopefully, theoretically, you understand a bit more where it's coming from. Yeah, because I over prepared for this. I've got like a good bunch of really cool things that we can do with this, and I think it explains so much we'll get into this, like I say, next week, but it explains so much about diminished. It explains so much about augmented. I've got some cool augmented improv tricks to be able to do with this, and some diminished ideas, and how we can use the diminished in this, and how we can actually sound. If you want that outside sound, then this is probably, I think, one of the easiest ways to kind of look at it. Just give you a load of patterns, but also how to tackle that harmonic minor scale and how to play it, and we'll do all that sort of stuff. And I think that'll be really, really, I think it'd be really cool. Yeah, we'll do that. We'll carry on with this next week. So we'll be doing improvising over a 2-5-1. That's what it'll be next week. So we could do a little back-in outro. If you want me to put the outro on, I can put that. I wonder if I can put that on over the top. I may be able to. We'll see if I put that in there. Water Dog, thank you very much. I appreciate that very much. It's always lovely when somebody drops a little box of Yorkshire tea. I get some, just top up on me Yorkshire tea supply. That's the one. So Ingo, I think you are in PDF Club, if I'm not mistaken. But I will see if this will work. If I can switch to the outro that I have and put that backing track over it. And if you're at home and you've got your guitar there, yeah, then you might be able to play the C harmonic minor over the top of that. Yeah, you could just play it. Look, just play a C pentatonic over the top of it. Yeah, box 1 at 8th fret. Hopefully, yay, part 2 gives me a chance to try and study. Water Dog, yeah, thank you very much. Thank you for your patience and for watching along. Guys, make sure you give the thing a wallop, but you've got to, if you don't want to miss any of this stuff, then you've got to make sure you're subscribed and you got that notification bell on. I know all YouTubers say stick the notification bell on, but there's a reason, because you won't get the emails and then you'll miss out, and that's the thing. So there's PDF Club. Oh, and Mrs. Ricky's, she put a discount in. She's put a discount code in. Oi, let's have a look. Let me add that to the broadcast. There we go. Use PDF 2025 for 20 quid off. Oh, there you go. Bargain, if I say so myself. And Yorkshire tea. Thank you, Haydar. Right, so there's that. Don't forget, join the Fretboard Fraternity. You will find out when we do stuff in there, because there's like an events calendar in there, and if it tells you at the top that when the lesson's about to start, and it says 3 days till the next lesson. Mrs. Ricky programs all that stuff in there, so that's good. And if you haven't got the book and you're just thinking, all right, this is cool, then it's like you want to support the channel, then you could just get, if you buy the book, it's 80 lessons in a book. I think it's worth it. So yes, Ingo, Aeolian at the 8th fret. So me as me, are all these latest PDFs going to be in volume 2 of the Ricky book? Well, like I was saying about the Ricky book, volume 2, from canvassing people, and the consensus seems to be that, oh yeah, but can you put it also all the pentatonic stuff, or so that all the chord stuff is in one, so it's like, okay, the book is 80 lessons, and it's a mix of lessons, because it covers so many topics. But the whole reason that I compiled it the way I did is because I wanted to give glimpses and practical things that you could do, no matter where you are in your journey, from beginner to thinking about high end theory stuff, So really, doing that again, I'm not sure it would benefit. But I tell you what, I'd have thought about doing sending you, if you're on the email list. If you're not on the email list, join the email list. If you go to rickysguitar.com, and you'll get a pop-up that says join the email. If you join the email list, we'll send one out, and we'll do a little survey and see what it is that you need. Yeah, because I can teach you what you want. I can take you where you want to go. It's just like, but you've got to tell me. So I'm like a bus driver. Yeah. What we have in the UK, we have these. We do this thing sometimes. They're called, and I can't tell you how many times we've ended up in some right dodgy places. We have these things called brown heritage site signs. They're generally for tourist attractions, yeah. So you'll have a brown sign, and I call them brown sign mystery tours. And what you do is you just set off in your car, and then you go, right, have we been driving for long enough? Yes, we've been driving for long enough. Okay, next brown sign that we see, we're going to go there. And then what ends up happening is you end up in a castle, and there's butterflies, and there's there's archery and stuff like that, and it's like, and you have a wonderful time, yeah. And an overpriced canteen where you can get a carrot cake for £18 or whatever. But so that's my job, yeah. It's like, so you got to tell me where you want to go, yeah. And what I'll do is I'll figure out how to do a survey, and I'll do a survey, and we'll find out what it is, and then I'll let you guys guide me. Just like that's how the first book came around. It was in the Facebook group, Iris, who I haven't seen in the chat for ages. Iris said, oh, look at my folder with all my printouts from Ricky's lessons, and I said, oh, that looks great. And she says, yeah, it should be made into a book. And then everybody said, yeah, make it into a book. And I made it into a book, and that's how it came about, So, so that's where it came along, and so I'm just here. I'm all ears, guys. It's whatever you need. I am here for you. Yeah. However I can help, then that's what it's all about. Okay, right, so that's cool. I'm an hour behind, pausing for work as needed. Book, Shauna says book volume 2 needs to be much larger. Yes, it would be, I think. Phil James, great lesson, Ricky. Thank you. Into Guinness number 9. Oh, Michael Davis says that was another masterclass. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. And Rocket says, I loved your interview in the magazine. Yeah, I did an interview for Gear magazine, and talking about the blues. And that was really, really cool to be able to be asked to do that stuff. And a blank. Shauna says, I would knock on your door, Ricky, with a guitar in hand and a blank look. So yeah, no, I'm expecting that now. Right, okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to try this for Ingo, see if this works. I'm going to switch to my outro, and then I'm going to put that that 251, this is the minor 251 in C, okay? I'm going to leave that on and see if it will do it, okay? It might do, might not, we'll see, but hopefully it will do. Okay, here we go. Did it? You thought I'd gone, but we're going to go back. All right, guys, thank you very much. Let's see you next week here for another Wednesday night guitar class. Remember, wallop the like on your way out. I'll link it, Sean. I'll link it in the Fretboard Fraternity. You're in there, aren't you? I think so. So good night, all. Take care. Take care of yourself. Look after each other, and remember who you're playing guitar for as well. Remember, play along to this.